It's day 22. Let's see what story we are checking out today. My husband accused me of a very serious crime. And with that being said, apparently today's story deals with some more serious issues, and I am going to have to censor a lot of words in this story because, believe it or not, the policies on these platforms are very strict, and if I say certain words, the video gets flagged, all right? We will be censoring today. I will try to get as creative as possible. This story came July 6th, 2024. My 30 female husband, 33 male, accused me of murder out of the blue. How do I salvage this? What a statement to process. Husband accuses you of something horrific out of the blue. We gotta buckle up for this one. This is long and ridiculous. Sorry. My husband, Luke, had a sister, Laura. We were all close and saw each other 2 to 3 times a month, along with their parents. Almost 6 months ago, Laura fell down the stairs at their family home and sadly passed away. It was a freak accident. There's a window on the half landing and she hit her head on the sill. I was the last person to see her. I was there for less than 10 minutes and she was in her pajamas making coffee. I didn't even stay for a drink, and I struggle with how such a brief and meaningless interaction could have been her last. She deserved so much more. My husband and I have only been married for a year, but we have been together for 4, and we have known each other for 20 plus years. When Laura's parents found her, they called my husband straight away and we rushed over. We faced the whole thing as a family. In the days after, Luke started quizzing me. Exactly what we talked about, what she was wearing, where we were standing, etc. It progressed to saying that I was providing conflicting information on tiny details that he was deliberately misunderstanding, and accusing me of withholding information because I couldn't tell him things like what pajamas she was wearing. This escalated quickly, but lasted for less than a week, as I lost my cool and made it clear that I was done answering questions. He didn't bring it up again, and I wrote it off as a grief quirk. His behavior was generally that of a normal grieving person. Last Friday, he outright accused me of her in front of his parents, out of the blue. We were all stunned. There was an inquest which recently concluded, and there was never any doubt the verdict would be an accidental passing. He said it was completely obvious and he couldn't believe that no one else could see it. He claims that I went through his phone and found his messages with Laura. I have absolutely no idea what messages he's talking about. I have never looked at his phone, and that I went over to confront her and things got out of hand and I pushed her down the stairs. By the end, he was shouting about going to the police and getting the inquest overturned and how I wasn't going to get away with it. Let me be clear. Laura and I had a great relationship. We all did. I have no idea where this is coming from other than these messages that I haven't seen. And even then, I don't think there's anything I could ever see on someone's phone that would drive me to, you don't think? That's a interesting way of wording it. I don't think there's something that I could ever see that would make me do that. Not the point. I'm not speculating. I'm not helping this story at all. Shut up. It's just ridiculous. He has been with his parents since this happened and will not talk to me at all. I've had some contact with his mom, but she is not very communicative. Wait, what? Communicative? Communicative. I should learn this. I should learn to communicate. Communicative. Communicative. It's communicative. Am I okay? Ready? Let's listen together. You guys already know, I'm sure.
Communicative.
Communicative?
Communicative.
Okay. All right. The last I heard, she didn't know what message he was referring to either. I am still completely stunned and I have no idea how to proceed. I made a commitment to be there for him always, and I understand that grief can manifest in strange ways, but part of me feels that my love for him died the second he accused me of that, and I don't know how we could possibly work through this. I also don't really want to be thought of in this way, and I have no idea if he has said anything to people we know. I obviously haven't. A brain tumor or psychotic break has crossed my mind, and I suggested it to his mother, and she just said that she'll talk to him. Other than the questions before, he hasn't been acting odd. Obviously, he's been grieving, but he has seemed sane and sensible other than this. I feel like I'm going mad. Does anyone have any advice at all? My only thought is like, could it just be a way of like in grief? Like he's trying to find some kind of closure and like, it can't be that she's gone because she fell down the stairs. Like what a tragedy and an accident. Like it's almost like he needs something to have actually happened in his mind to grieve with it. I don't know. If you guys aren't new here, we had a very tragic accident happen where my partner's mom passed in the home suddenly. It's going to be 2 years on, oh my God, is it the date of this video? Tell me it's the date of this video. This is 22nd. That's wild. Anyways, we've gone through a very tragedy like that in a sense, not the same situation, but I've been around. Okay, what am I saying? I literally lost track because of pinning those dates together. I don't even remember what I was gonna say. Guys, my thought literally went out my brain because those date connections have just like, I don't even know what I was trying to say by bringing that up. Weird. Anyways, I've just been around grief and I'm wondering if like that's just something that's happening, that he's really desperate for some kind of closure on the situation. I don't know. Weird. Okay. Let's move on and check out some top comments on the post so far. Someone commented and said, you need to get a lawyer to protect yourself in case he does go to the police. I would write down everything that you can remember that day and keep it just in case. He may be having a psychotic break. As stated, don't talk to him or his immediate family or your friends without someone present, or preferably by text or email. Save everything. You need to take his accusations seriously and cover your OP responded and said, I was interviewed by the coroner's office after her passing as I was the last person to see her. She passed about 3 hours after I saw her and I had been to the supermarket and was home by that point. It is all verifiable and it was a recorded interview. All right, so she is saying she's got an alibi, it's been verified, and she did an interview, which was recorded. So next comment, I think they mean to record everything you remember about the day that your soon-to-be ex accused you of that. OP said, I'm feeling so freaked out at the idea that he came up with this almost immediately after her passing and has either been sitting on it or planning this confrontation that I'm basically trying to dissect the past 6 months. It truly is the most bizarre thing I've ever heard. Like, I feel like I'm in a true crime documentary. Imagine in the end, like this person's guilty and they did actually do it and it's on the news. I'm spiraling. I watch way too much true crime. We have an update and it came the next day. My husband's iCloud credentials were saved on an old iPad in his office and I downloaded his backup last night. I have read all his messages with his sister and there is absolutely nothing like he describes. I understand this is illegal. Oh, probably not the best time to be doing something illegal, but hey, all right. And I'm concerned about the possible ramifications. I am also waiting for a callback from my locksmith to change the locks on the home that we own together, which I believe is also against the law. Perfect. So this leads to my actual questions. I feel justified in what I've done for my safety, but there is a degree of pragmatism under the law for these issues because of the situation. Or am I shooting myself in the foot? I am resigned to the fact that my relationship is over, but his parents don't seem to be taking this seriously and they are icing me out. I believe this is a serious mental health issue which may put people, namely me, at risk. Can I do anything about this when all I have is the fact that I am being accused of this crime? I feel he needs to be detained and this should be investigated as a full-blown psychotic break. Yeah, because I guess if something is seriously mentally wrong and he believes you did that, how do you know what he would do? This is like so, it honestly doesn't feel real because of how bizarre that this is a Reddit story. This should be on Netflix. Sorry, this is all a bit mental. In addition, what type of solicitor do I need? My understanding is that a coroner decision can't be appealed. Is that correct? Are his accusations going to go anywhere? Can I protect myself from this or stop him escalating to telling others? We live in our hometown and everyone knows everyone. This could follow me forever and it's either a lie or a delusion. I don't know. If he's like talking about it publicly or online, maybe you could do something about defamation of character. I don't know. I am not here to give any advice on this situation, let me tell you. Let me tell you, I am not qualified. Don't even quote me. Don't even fully listen to this video, honestly. I should not be here. Let's see what the comments are saying now. Someone commented and said, "You are jumping ahead of yourself and playing out situations that have not occurred." Story of my life. Anxiety. If your husband reports you to the police for accessing his data and you are subsequently arrested or taken in for questioning, then obtain the services of a criminal solicitor for advice. With respect to changing locks and ending your marriage, seek a solicitor that deals with family law and divorce. If you feel like you are at risk from your husband, talk to a domestic abuse helpline. If you feel that you are at immediate risk of harm, then call the police. If you think your husband is mentally ill and presents a risk to himself or others, also call the police. OP said, "What else can I do? He has blocked me everywhere, and we went from a normal couple dealing with the new normal 6 months after the passing of his sister to me being accused of her over a family dinner because of messages which clearly don't exist. And it's been 9 days and I haven't heard anything since." Talk about your world flipping upside down in a split second. We have an update. Came 1 week later. We're at July 14th. Firstly, thank you to those who helped me get to my husband's iCloud backups through an old iPad. Are you trying to clear your case and blame the people of Reddit? I wasn't expecting much from Reddit, but I got valuable practical advice before my post was locked, and I appreciate it. There were no crazy or even suspicious messages. I have searched for over 100 terms and scrolled back over all the years. I saw a side of them both I wasn't expecting, but nothing that explains the claim that I hurt her over their chats. Nothing to suggest that he was cheating. Absolutely nothing to suggest incest. Okay, my mind didn't go there. No weird gaps where deleted conversations or switch to another app would fit. Just siblings making plans, sending memes, and gossiping. They said unexpectedly horrible stuff about a few people, but not me. It was a sort of relief, but it raised more questions than it answered. I sought legal advice, also from Reddit, after posting there. Turns out my options are divorce him or sit down. I contacted my community mental health team who said that they would reach out, but made it clear that it wasn't urgent. I then called his mom and said that if I didn't hear from him by this weekend, I would get a solicitor and ask for a mental health assessment as part of the divorce. In response, he made a ridiculous post to Facebook, which neither of us have used in years, and then everything blew up. Oh boy, I fear I am not prepared for the rest of this story, but I buckled up, so we are driving in the passenger seat because I don't want to be driving. Jesus, take the wheel on this one. On Friday night, he made a long accusation on Facebook with new information. He said he had been planning to leave me for months with his sister's support, and I found the messages, and then her. The coroner has reopened the case and the police are preparing to arrest me, and that he needs to make sure people know before the trial stops him talking about it. It was well written and seemed vaguely plausible. He messaged people with links, so it got some attention. We live in our hometown and we have a large circle of friends because we've been here all of our lives. People I haven't spoken to since school were reaching out to me asking what the F was going on. It was madness. In response, I posted the export of his entire conversation history with Laura, also to Facebook, when I finally got back in. Oh no. I linked to the chat along with a post explaining everything on my side and noting that I had changed my ex's iCloud and Apple passwords so that if he wanted them back, he should comment on my post and update his own, admitting that he was lying. He eventually did. This is out of control. When I started getting messages about his post, I panicked, and changing his password seemed important to preserve everything because he knew then that I had access. When I spoke to him the next morning, it's clear he is not having a mental episode at all, but is claiming one because he's been caught in a big lie. As soon as he was outed, he called me, clearly drunk, begging and promising to explain everything if I deleted my post. I hung up and I told him to call back the next day. He did, after many missed calls and text messages, and he tried to bargain and guilt trip me with his mental health until it was clear the wrong person had seen his conversation. It's hard to describe, but it seemed fake. It was too well rehearsed, and then this morning, when it was clear he was getting nowhere, he blocked me again. Begging for mercy and reciting facts about mental disorders doesn't align with someone in crisis with a sincere belief that someone harmed, we'll say, their sibling. The question of why he did all of this remains unanswered, and he will not be getting his passwords until it is. The legal advice subreddit said this stuff is technically illegal, but it's beneath a court to take action, so I'm going to count on that because I felt like I know their choice at the time, and now I don't see any other way to get answers from him. I am desperate, and it's all that I've got. So there we are. The relationship I have believed was my destiny since I was a teenager has boiled down to petty, convoluted, and vindictive BS played out on social media for reasons still unknown. My hope for a brain tumor is fading, and clearly tomorrow morning is going to be when I lawyer up and stop posting about this. I am mortified. I have no idea whether some people might believe him, and I still don't know why this all happened in the first place. Same. Insane. I greatly need a sip of water and probably much more, but we're gonna hydrate today. It's hydration station. Cheers. This story is literally giving me a headache. Just need to show my gratitude. I have a sneeze coming, so my thank you might get interrupted, but thank you to everyone who has watched the first vlog on my second channel. After filming that video, I realized I very much need a vlogging camera, so that is on the way. I'm just waiting for a Boxing Day sale because cameras are not cheap, all right? So I'm going to be vlogging more. If you haven't heard, I am doing a full-length kind of lifestyle vlog channel as well outside of these stories. So make sure you guys are subscribed if you don't want to miss it. It is linked in every description of every video at Life with Joss. I'm so excited. You guys like to see my life. I don't know why, but I'm honored. All right, so here are some of the comments now and what people are thinking. Someone commented and said, wow, OP, I am so sorry. This is not the update I expected, but it's even more bizarre. Can you provide more info on how people reacted and why he confessed to lying without explaining why he did it? It was obvious his post was fake, wasn't it? If he wanted a divorce, this is the dumbest way ever to go about it. I just can't understand his thinking at all. Again, I'm so sorry. What a nightmare for you. OP responded to that and said he didn't react at all. He called me tens of times at this point, and we had 5 conversations on the phone about it. He was laser focused on me deleting the chat log from the get-go, but when I made it clear that posting that comment on editing his original Facebook post was the only way to progress the conversation at all, that is when he finally admitted it. Then he went silent publicly, as far as I can see, but continued begging me behind the scenes. Next comment, what on earth is in those chats that he is so desperate to keep people from seeing and that would conceivably lead you to someone? Is there any chance that they were using some kind of code or something? Oh, like in the normal conversations you saw, what if some of the words in there were like code words? OP responded and said, I think it was the fact that it proved his story is false alongside the way they spoke about some people. Oh, it was really damaging stuff, and I can see why he panicked. Oh, girl, tell us the tea. What did he say? What did they say? If they're like, you gotta be saying some serious stuff, like life-ruining stuff if you're that worried. You're not just talking like, oh, did you see the ugly shirt they wore yesterday? Like, you gotta be saying some serious stuff. I hated to do it to him, but I really couldn't think of anything else because so many people had questions. Thankfully, we have another update. This update came 6 days later. A comment on my last post prompted me to look more closely at money stuff. Oh, I'm terrible at true crime. I watch a lot of it. I'm like, I have not even thought about any of that. Hello? And a message to my husband from Laura asking about a payment stuck out. I'd initially assumed it was about a car issue she had a few weeks before she passed, but Luke definitely paid at the garage when they picked it up because we talked about it after she dropped him home. You just exposed your husband's name. Maybe that's a fake name, but it didn't occur to me when I first looked through. The messages supposedly proved that I was so I'd been looking for something more scandalous. The message about payments was the only thing I had at this point, and I had no idea what it meant, so I took a chance. I told his mother I knew about the money and that if he didn't get in touch with me that day, I would make sure everyone else did too. A little poker face moment, seeing if they will call your bluff. He called me straight away and asked me over to his parents' house to talk. He looked dreadful, and the first thing he asked me was whether I was happy now that all of his friends hate him. I told him I don't give a about his relationship and that I was there for answers. It turns out my husband told the coroner's office that he was secretly helping Laura pay some of her debt because she was embarrassed and struggling to keep up with her lifestyle. I assume it didn't seem suspicious because her passing was clearly an accident and that is why they were investigating. In reality, he took out loans and store cards in her name and she somehow found out a few weeks before she passed away. Some guy he works with had apparently done it before and arranged it all, and if Laura hadn't found out, he claims they could have had it written off without her even knowing. When she did find out, the guy left him high and dry and he has had to pay it all off. I'm inclined to believe that's the gist of what happened, but I am shocked my husband would do something this stupid. When she passed so soon after, his brief and apparently genuine suspicion was that she had told me about it that day, and we argued and her. He couldn't explain why I would do that to someone, but they were a victim of fraud. But according to him, he felt guilty in the immediate aftermath and his brain just made it fit. I mostly believed this, but he tried launching into more weaponized theory speak at this point, so I cut the topic off. A few months after his sister's passing, he received a letter from a credit company, not even the police, saying that he was being investigated. Laura didn't have much, so her debts, which were less than $10K, even with the fraud, were mostly just written off. Something obviously flagged against my husband during the process. I don't know how or why. When the letters got more threatening, he believed the investigation would reopen the inquest and that he would be accused of fraud, perjury, and because of his previously unknown motive, possibly murder. He claims the only thing the company investigating him actually knows is that the fraud came from our address, so accusing me would make it possible to prove, because it would be a coin toss, his words, as to which one of us took out the credit in Laura's name. Someone needs to turn this into a movie, you guys. This whole story. That was worth our entire marriage to him and my reputation in the community that we have been a part of for our entire lives. He says self-preservation kicked in and nothing else mattered when he thought about what could happen to him. When I asked how his witness statement fits into his plan, because it proved he lied either way by acknowledging that he knew about the debt and paying for it, he froze for roughly 1,000,000 years before saying he hadn't thought of that. Obviously, my response was to ask why, if he hadn't thought of it, he specifically said it was a lie that he needed to cover earlier in the conversation. Suddenly, he is sobbing and his parents are rushing in to ask me to leave. I was in tears at this point, asking how he could do this to me over something so stupid and how much his parents knew about this, as his mom was pushing me out of their house. All she said was that she couldn't have this conversation with me. She was crying too, but wouldn't say another word. I am now 99% sure that effer was trying to frame me. Not for her passing, but for the fraud. He was going to claim that he was lying for me in the coroner's interview, right? If he wrapped it all up as quietly paying her off on my behalf, then genuinely suspecting me of her, it would protect his reputation and point the finger at me. It just doesn't make sense any other way. Is my husband trying to frame me to weasel out of his actions? And how do I get to the bottom of this? Please don't come up with conspiracies about her passing in the comments. It's upsetting. She was wearing crappy old slippers and walking upstairs with a cup of tea, and she slipped and hit her head on the windowsill. This was never a murder mystery. It was someone's life. Maybe a butterfly flapped its wings somewhere. I don't know, but it's hard enough to accept without having guesses shouted at me on the internet whilst my marriage falls apart. I mean, you're the one who put it on the internet though. Did you really think you were going to go to Reddit with this story and people weren't going to have theories and questions and assumptions about it? I can't wait to see what my audience says, because I'm like, what do we feel? How are we feeling? From an outside perspective, I'm reading the words, so it's different. Let me know what you think. Make sure to censor yourself for certain words. Yes, that M word tends to get flagged a lot, you guys. Sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it does. Depends if you're monetized or if you're not. It's a whole thing. So censor yourselves out there. Stay classy, stay sassy. I'll see you tomorrow.